morning. You are now viewing the live streaming of Unity of Dayton. My name is Brenda Anthony, and let's start this service in prayer. Sweet Spirit, we thank you for your loving presence in and through our lives. As we gratefully open our hearts and minds to your steady stream of guidance that is always present, we know that we are provided everything we need to know for each next step of our journey. With love and gratitude, we thank you, God. Amen. So, again, my name is Brenda Anthony, and we are Unity of Dayton. Unity was founded with prayer. And if you have any prayer requests, please send them to ZeJRfPSw@unityofdayton.org. And we would love to pray with you. And this week, we have an affirmation that we could speak throughout the week that might help with anything that you might be going through. This affirmation, I'll read it and then we can say it together. It is, within me lie the answers I seek. I listen with an open heart. Let's say that together. Within me lie the answers I seek. I listen with an open heart. Thank you. So I would like to welcome any visitors that's listening to us for the first time. Anybody watching us on live stream, we are on Facebook and YouTube. So this morning, our guest speaker is Rebecca Victor, and we are so excited to have her speaking for us today. As a personal and professional empowerment and spiritual coach and presenter with over 25 years of experience, Rebecca motivates individuals to transform themselves and their lives with greater freedom, self-awareness, and confidence. Okay, so now I'm going to read the daily word. The daily word for Sunday, August 8th, 2021 is protected. Through my oneness with God, I feel protected. Sometimes I may feel at the mercy of changing, tumultuous world I cannot control. This is never true. Even though the chaos of the world may swirl around me, at the center of my being is a place of perfect peace and calm. Whenever I am in need of a safe refuge, I turn to God within to reach this place of tranquility and reclaim my feeling of security and protection. The sun always rises after the longest, darkest night. I remind myself of this truth and feel grateful as I allow the light of spiritual understanding to release and reclaim whatever power I may have unwittingly given to a fear-based thought. Fully in tune with the divine presence within me, I move safely and confidently through every challenging circumstance. And from 1 John 4:4, the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. Okay, now let us prepare for a time of meditation.
So if you would for me, just allow your eyes, if you feel comfortable, just to close so that you can spend some time inward. And so we move inward to honor that space and place within us. where we discover more of who we are. As we move within to gain guidance and clarity, or sometimes to just rest in peace. We are not only centered and quieted, but all of a sudden we are free. There's an opening that we see and we feel and we sense, and we simply know. And we rest in that knowingness, knowing that it is there in that quiet and sacred space when the world is just swirling all around, that we can go, rest, find comfort, find peace, and be introduced to an experience that introduces us to more of who we are and what it is that this thing we call life is. And so let's take a few moments just to rest right there. And we give thanks as we open our heart, our mind, and our ears to a song, I Will Always Know What I Need to Know, by Karen Drucker.
I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that, so the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does the mighty oak tree face the changes autumn brings? He doesn't worry if he'll grow new leaves when it is spring. Let me be that trusting. Let me let go. I know the buds are on their way, though I'm naked in the snow. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does a tiny robin feel when she finally leaves the nest? She takes a giant leap of faith and lets nature do the rest. Let me be that faithful. Let me dare to fly. Though my wings are frail, I will not fail. There's a simple reason why. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. There's a power in the universe greater than just me, and it works a million miracles when I let it be. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. I always know what I need to know when I need to know it.
Well, thank you, Brenda and Catherine. I appreciate that. I always know what I need to know. And also, Brenda, thank you so much for the great job being MC and just music and everything that you're doing. So thank you very much. And I would like to welcome all of you who might have just stepped in. Thank you for joining us here at Unity, for the opportunity to spend the morning with us. And we're going to be taking a look today at an idea of what do you do when the waters of the river are turbulent and you got to cross it? How do you cross that river when the waters are turbulent? And I really looked at that image. It came to me when I was just reflecting on what I wanted to talk about, because I think of change, and change often is experienced as turbulence. You'll see the waters, being agitated, or the winds of change you'll talk about. And it's not usually like lovely little winds of change. It can be, but often most people see it as, the winds, and they're flying, and depending upon the grade of change, it can be a really violent feeling, and it can feel really frightening. So what I want to do is just kind of have you picture with me as we move through this idea of how do we traverse these waters of change when they're turbulent. So if any of you have been hiking, I love to hike, and my husband we've hiked for years. And there's often special places that we like to go. And in many of them, there's like a creek that has to be followed, has to be traversed, has to be crossed. And depending upon the time of year, the situation can be where there's hardly any water at all in it, like at the end of the summer going into fall, where everything's begun to dry up and you're seeing a lot of the riverbed. And you don't necessarily have to use stepping stones to get across because it's pretty dry except for a couple of trickles. And then you move into the winter and it's kind of cold, and still you might have some water from the snow or some rains, but it's fairly easy to traverse. And the same with summer, but often the spring rains come and they will be full, and the water will be rich, and it'll just be flowing through. And that path that we're used to walking across isn't there anymore. It's there, but it's hidden by the waters, and we're quite unsure how to cross it. Well, for most of us, we realize that give it a couple of weeks, and the water will reside. And then the path will make itself known again. And we're like, oh, there it is. Because we have an idea of what to expect. But what happens when we find that scenarios have changed and no longer is that river, or does it appear that that river that we're crossing or that creek is crossable because the waters have begun to rise? And let's say, up a mile up the road, there was a dam, or 5 miles up the road, there was a dam that had been built, decades and decades ago, and it used to hold the water. Well, the infrastructure of the dam has begun to weaken, and, people who are looking at it realizing they don't really want to have the dam, that instead they want the water to flow. And all of us downstream are like, well, okay. And before we know it, the dam is no longer rebuilt, fortified, or strengthened, and the water that used to be held back is now being allowed to move through at a much faster rate than it would be if the dam was fully functioning. So here we got all this water. Now, we could be someone who could get angry at that. Like, you know what, I've been crossing this river for a long time, and it's really ticking me off that now I can't cross it because they didn't notify it. They didn't put a bridge across. They didn't do anything. They just go ahead and release the water, and now all this changed, and now I can't get across the river. Or we could be someone who looks at it, and we're like, oh, wow, look at this. I can't get across the river. And the head goes low, and it's that real sense of being defeated, feeling defeated. Looking at it, it's a loss. The idea it's never going to be the same, and the head drops. And there's a sense of, true just defeat. How are we going to be able to do it? We're just not. Kind of like that Eeyore. Or you might be someone who is a denier. You look and you're like, I know that river's high, and I know that they've made that decision, and it's really whacking everything out down here, but I'm just gonna wait. I want to sit by this, just kind of like I do every year, where we wait the rivers, the waters of the spring river, spring rains to kind of die down. The river's going to come back. It's going to come back and be what it was before. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. Or you could be someone who looks and they're like, I don't like this at all. You could be like a hider's, be afraid. And you're like, I'm just going to go back into my shell. I'm going to go home and forget walking this trail. I'm out of here. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't like how it looks. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm just going to go to and retreat to where I'm safe. Or you could be someone who's like, all right, well, this obviously wasn't done for us. We've got some problems here. We'd like to get across. Don't necessarily know how we're going to get across. Maybe there's some possibilities we haven't considered. So you might be somebody who's like a possibility seeker. And if you're like me, you can kind of be all five, because I have had situations where things and changes have occurred that I've been angry and wanted to fight, that I have been where I felt defeated and just kind of shoulders down, head down, and walked away, where I have been a denier and saying, it's going to get better, and it doesn't, or in the way I thought it was going to be. Or I've been, let me go and just hide somewhere until it's over. Or the optimist, the step forward, what can I create? I've been all five of those. And I don't know where you sit, but in this time of change, I find myself moving through that. Those series, those scenarios, those ways of responding and dealing with situations that I'm not sure about. Now, if I am somebody who doesn't know anything about building bridges, I'm going to be a little more maybe upset or uncertain than I would be if I were an engineer, because I could think or craft a way that could get across the river. So it just depends upon my background as to how I would respond. It also depends on, do I feel that I'm safe? Do I feel that in this world, I can rely on things to work out to my benefit, on my behalf? Or do I look at the idea of change as being something that is going to destroy me, somehow knock the knees out from underneath me, and I'm swept away with everything? Well, in all those scenarios, the thing that I find that's important to me is that I want to manage the change. And in managing the change, I have to realize that I have choices. And some of the best choices that I have made began with and do begin with this idea of how willing am I to be a part of the process of change? How willing am I to acknowledge that things are changing? And how willing am I to let go of the idea that that change has to occur in a certain way for me to be okay? Am I willing to let go of any preconceived notions I have about it so I could open up to possibilities that exist or might exist if I give myself a chance to connect with people? What do you think we can do? How do you think we can engage to improve, to enhance? When I'm willing, then all of a sudden my world is opened up. Possibilities abound. My heart opens up. When I am willing, I create space for something new to unfold, space for something new to make its way into my consciousness so that I can look at it, explore it, and consider it. Now, it doesn't mean that in these times of change that I don't have feelings of uncertainty, that I don't have feelings of concern. But our teachings talk about the fact that there is more to life and more to who it is that we are. And that more that it teaches us that we are is plenty to help us move through these times of change. It depends upon how comfortable we are to work with the ideas and to use them and apply them. One of the ideas in New Thought that is taught in Unity is this idea that if God is all that is, God is everywhere present and all powerful. Change as much as it is in a time of where everything's copacetic and everything is kind of plodding along at the same pace, that presence of the divine exists in that moment. What's mine to do is I'm willing to look and say, what does that mean? What does it mean to say, is God available in this moment, present in this moment? Does it mean that it's nice and lovely and God's sitting off here in a corner? Or does it mean it's part of who and what I am? And that when I turn within, when I pause long enough to create space to be present with it, that all of a sudden opportunities and ideas start to surface for me that can assist me, that rather than be a victim of turbulent times and change, I can be a creator within the whole construct and take this time of evolution and build something beautiful with it. You see, in these New Thought teachings we hold, we know, and we're taught and we know that the presence of the divine is the very essence of who we are. We come from that. And it's not that it sits somewhere apart from us. And here we are, and good luck trying to bridge the gap. It is part of what we are. And our journey in this time is, how do we start to own? How do we start to own this? And what better time to start playing with this idea and practicing it and looking at it and opening to it than in this time of change? A time where our feet is unsteady. You're trying to figure out a way across the turbulent water and everything is unsteady. So you're going to look for new ways, new ideas, new things to get yourself across, things that you would never look at before. If you're starting a business and you've run a business and tried to do the same thing over and over, and all of a sudden things are new, now you got to try something new and different. And it's not until you're in the time of change that you're willing to step up and look at something new and different. So why not let this time for us be a place of growth, a place of opening, a place of discovery? a place of going, how can I look at this situation different? I follow these practices and I'm here working with these teachings because they resonate for me. How am I going to look with them, be with them, spend time with them, connect with others about them so that I can work with them and use them to create the life experience now that is most uplifting, inspiring, nurturing, fulfilling? That's what, when we're in this time, can assist us. That when we're in this time, we can open our hearts and open our minds to the possibilities, because that's what these teachings allow us to do. You see, we're not victims in this teaching. Yes, we have grown up with misunderstandings. We've grown up being taught that we're victims, that we have no power. But we enter in and we look at these teachings with unity and a new thought that say, oh no, you are powerful. How you choose to use that power will be a decision that you get to make, but you are powerful. And do you want to make that in ways that are in support of who you are? Or do you want to just run with whatever you've been taught? And so for those of us in this teaching, part of the journey is, what do I want to practice here? How do I want to move and practice so that I can work a way to get myself across or through these turbulent waters right now? And one of the ways that was for me initial was, am I even willing to be willing? Am I willing to open up to the idea that regardless of what I see before me, the chaos, the uncertainty, if I keep my heart and mind in being open to possibilities and see a way, even though I don't know it, but know that there's a way, am I willing to open up, to let go of the idea that the way it's been is the way it has to be in order for it to be successful? Instead, open up to the fact that maybe change is going to introduce us to something even better. Am I willing? Am I willing to let go of judgment about myself or about others? I don't know about you, but there have been times I judge myself at times really, really harshly. I mean, I was going to it yesterday in the bathroom, and God love my husband, he came up and I'm like, I'm fine. I'm dealing with this. And I was moving through a moment of judgment. And then all of a sudden I thought, even as hateful as I was for myself in that moment, I also had a choice to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to love me in this process. Do I feel good about how I've responded? No, but I'm not willing to beat myself up over it anymore. I'm not willing to beat myself up because at one point I fought. I'm not willing to beat myself up because I instead chose to deny it and sit and do nothing. I'm not willing to beat myself up because I looked and said, I'm defeatist and, my nature is, Or am I willing to beat myself? I'm not willing to beat myself up if I hide instead, if I run in my home and say, I don't want anything to do with this. And I'm not willing to beat myself up if I'm the one that says, okay, let's see what we can do. How can we cross this? What I am willing to do is let that go. Forgive myself. Give myself space. Because, there was a line it keeps always coming back to me. And I don't know how accurate this line is biblically. I know it was in the Bible, but, there's a lot about the Bible that has been misinterpreted. But it was a quote that he said, forgive them for they know not what they do. And in my life, I can remember when I entered into therapy in my mid-20s, my life was not, it was just falling apart. And I knew if I didn't see or talk to somebody, I was going to be in trouble. And I could possibly hurt someone else. And I didn't want to do that. So I sought support. And all that time that I was seeking support, I kept saying, I'm the black sheep of the family. I'm the one who's causing all the problems. And everything had to do with me. And when I ended up moving into therapy, one of the things I realized was that alcoholism played a role in the dynamics in my family. And it played a role in how we interrelated with one another, how we dealt with feelings and emotions and all kinds of things, and how I saw myself. And if I had not taken that program or learned that, I would have forever thought that, and judged myself to being this horrible, terrible person. But when I began to learn, wow, there were reasons why I was behaving the way I was behaving. That I could use that as a way to be compassionate with myself, to release myself of judgment so that I could create space within me to allow something else to grow. And something else did grow. My heart grew. My heart and my love for myself. The compassion I feel for myself has grown. Because I was willing to let go, release. I was willing to open my heart to the possibility of something better, even in the midst of the changes that were occurring. I was willing then to offer forgiveness to myself and others. Didn't mean I agreed with them. Didn't mean I didn't have my points. I wanted to call him an a-hole. But it also gave me the thing to say, I can also respond differently. Because it's difficult. Some of these changes we're moving through as individuals, as a society, as a world, they're difficult. And one of the greatest gifts we have in these teachings is compassion, is love. Is creating space so that we become more aware in this willingness to be compassionate, to realize that there's a whole lot to us that we never knew existed. That many of us who've been in these teachings are really sensing and knowing, and we're starting to practice and engage them more. We're starting to practice and remember that the presence of the divine rests at the heart of who we are. And we have that power to make a decision, to serve life, to serve ourselves. We are the creators of our life. And so when we move through the willingness to let go and the willingness to offer ourselves love and compassion and forgiveness, then we create that opening in our heart that says, what's next? This is okay. What with this new idea and these ideas, how can I play with possibilities? How can, when we're looking at things that feel so crazy and we're like, whoa, what could happen next? And we don't even want to ask that question because we'll get an answer, right? So it's like, how can we trust that regardless of what comes next, and as we're working through the angst and the anxiety and the pain, we also have the idea that there is something more. And that something more loves us with a love that is profound. We are part of that love. It is the essence of who we are. And just because we don't see it at this point doesn't mean it's not real. It just means we've chosen to, put the drapes down on it and we don't see it. But the moment we start to lift the curtains, it becomes visible to us. And that's what these teachings work with us, a piece at a time, to help us practice, to learn, to move through old ways of seeing so that we can embrace a new idea, a new way of being, a new way of living that allows us to acknowledge that that line, we are made in the image and likeness of God, Creator. We have as our very beingness the capacity to create the world, the lives that we want. And what we're learning now is how to do that. And as we study, as we take classes, as we learn more, we play, we connect with others. How are you doing? How did you do this? And we go back and forth and we work together to embrace an ever greater picture of ourselves as individuals, ourselves as a community and a world. So when we're faced with rough and turbulent waters, and we look and we have all these responses, which I don't know about you, I could go into shame in a heartbeat. I don't want to do that. Instead, I can pause and say, oh, how do I need to love me in this moment? What inside of me needs to know I'm okay? Even though it doesn't feel okay right now, what do I need to give myself? How can I love? How can I nurture? It could be a walk outside. It could be reading a book. It could be listening to music. It could be calling a friend. It could be picking up an art and starting to draw, anything that starts to help create a new, energy, to create space, to allow something more to help us to remember how truly loved and magnificent we are, even though it's hard to believe at times. We're in the midst of change and we're struggling. But these teachings are here, not only for the times that feel good, but the times that cause us to pause and go, who are we and what am I doing? And these are the times we get to explore and open ourselves up to, what they mean for us and how it is we want to practice and play with them. So as we're moving through this time of change, even though it appears at this point that the waters are so turbulent that we can't cross it from one side to another, as we create space to just acknowledge and be present with where we are, with love and compassion, we create that openness in our heart that allows us to step forward and say, who's with me on how we can get across this? Because we know we'd all like to get back and forth. What can we do? How can we create something better? And that's what it is when we talk about this community and others like us with this new thought type of a philosophy. And so I'd like to take us a moment just to go in and help us each to acknowledge wherever we are in this time, however we've chose to address or deal with it, or how we're dealing with it now, or how we want to deal with it. We'll pause. And we'll acknowledge that right here, right now, that which is life breathes us. That which is life thinks our thoughts, beats our heart, is our passion. That which is life is forever present with us. It is who we are. And we have a wonderful opportunity. One moment, one step, one decision at a time, to truly discover what that is for each of us, so that we can live it in a way that's most honoring and loving for us. And I simply give thanks and say amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for that very powerful message. That was wonderful. Thank you. So now's the time to prepare our gifts and our tithes for our offering. And there's different ways that you can send your gifts to Unity. There is a donate button on our website. Or you could also mail a check to our church that's physically located in Huber Heights, and you can get our address on our website. So now let's lovingly take whatever gift you intend to give that helps support this ministry. Please hold it next to your heart, and let's say our blessing together. This is the blessing. It's divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So let's say that together, please. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I have received. Thank you, God. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 Thank you. Okay, now for our announcements. Did you know that you can listen to our 11 a.m. Sunday service in the parking lot on 105.3 FM? Bring your lawn chair and snack, if you like, for a socially distanced gathering on the grounds. Church restrooms will be available. In order to listen in on that station, you actually do have to physically be in the parking lot. But what a wonderful way to reconnect with friends that you haven't seen for a while. Now, about Cleanup Day. Please join us for another Cleanup Day on Saturday, August 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we gather in fellowship to prepare to open the church. With the tentative reopening date of September 12, 2021, we have a lot to do. The main focus will be on cleaning, arranging, decluttering, and reconnecting. Cleaning supplies will be provided, and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, on the same day, Unity of Dayton is having an ice cream social. Wow! Saturday, August 21st from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Come in and pick out an ice cream, then enjoy it out back with friends. Bring a chair and a smile. We invite you to come early or stay after if you like to help in the cleanup day fun, which is occurring from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now, there will be a drumming circle at Unity of Dayton on Wednesday, August 25th at 7 p.m. Bring your drums and a chair and meet us out back for a time of celebration of summer. There are some study groups here at Unity of Dayton. A new one is called Summer Spiritual Sharing Sessions with Reverend Sue Bryant. Join with other Truth students on Zoom to share your current spiritual practices and how they are impacting your soul's journey. The text used for this is The Endless Practice, Becoming Who You Were Meant to Be by Mark Nepo. And this is held on Fridays from 1 to 2:30 p.m. There are 6 dates planned for the summer. See Unity's website or newsletter for class dates and more details. If interested, contact Rev Sue at unityofdayton.org for more information and to register. Some other study groups on Zoom is there's a women's group called Venus Rising. The book used is A New Earth, and this is with Victoria Heron on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., which is now being held in person and online. Another study group is called Exploring Ascension Energies with Dan Studebaker. This happens on the first and third Wednesday of every month from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. For a Zoom invite to either class, please email us at unity@ZeJRfpSw.org. unitofdayton.org. Now, let us say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Okay, now I'm just so thrilled for all of you that was present for this wonderful message from Rebecca Victor this morning, and for all of the sharing of your light with the friends that you've gathered with. So we just want to say that have a blessed week, and remember, you are the light of the world. 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 You are the light. So let your light so shine. So let your light so shine. So let your light so shine. Let your light shine. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light.